wonderful vegetable. Now this week I have been told I have to be on my best behavior because if I don't, apparently I'm going to get taken down. And the reason is because we have the pleasure of having Sarah Kaufman. Thank you very much for coming in. Strike Force fighter.
Yes, a Strike Force fighter. So I fight in mixed martial arts.
Mixed martial arts. So I promise I will be very well behaved today. So what do you do? I mean, what is a Strike Force fighter and mixed martial arts actually consist of?
Well, it consists of boxing and kickboxing, wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, kind of all blended together. So pretty
basically
much
anything goes.
anything goes, but dirty fighting.
You can beat me up in any kind of fight.
Yeah, standing on the floor, anywhere.
Okay. Well, before we get going, just remember I have a knife. All right.
Me too.
Okay, so what we're going to do today, these beautiful endives that we found, we're going to wrap them in bacon because anything goes good with bacon.
Absolutely.
And then just a nice light tomato vinaigrette to go over the top. So it's kind of a hot salad.
Sounds great.
So if you want to just pass me a couple of those endives to me, and if you want to take a couple, all we're going to do, now we've got a couple, one's a little bit bigger than the other. So we're going to take the big one and just basically cut it in half, and then lay that down flat and cut each of those in half. And then the smaller one, we're just going to cut in half. We're not going to cut that a second time. Now what we want to do with these, just want to take your little knife, and without releasing the leaves here, just sort of trim off a piece of that core, just to take, because that is quite bitter, and you just want to get rid of some of that before we go and grill it. And as I say, that's without going too deep, otherwise the leaves will all fall off. So how long have you been a fighter?
I've been fighting professionally for just over 6 years now.
Oh, what possessed you to get into professional fighting? How did you get to be there?
Well, I initially just started training, just doing Muay Thai, which is like kickboxing.
Right.
And I really did that just as kind of a fun activity, something different than going to the gym and lifting weights.
Right. And I guess it's a whole different process. So then we're just going to season these with a little salt and pepper. I guess it just makes the whole idea of working out a little bit more fun when you get to beat the living daylights out of other people at the same time.
Yeah, and you get paid for it. It's fantastic.
And you get paid for it. This is actually, you know what? I'm contemplating maybe having a little change of a career path. And a little bit of pepper, a little bit of pizzazz there. Now I've got my grill on over here, quite hot, and we can just pick these guys up and just bring them over. We're going to grab that heat and then just drop them on the grill. We just want to basically put a little bit of color on these for 2 or 3 seconds. It's not going to take long. There we go, and you can have the front end there. So the league that you operate in, Strike Force, what kind of league is that? How far afield do you travel or do you work?
Well, it's actually an organization that's based out of the United States.
Okay.
But it's a world organization. So I've fought people from Japan, I've fought people from the United States, from Holland. They really bring in people from Brazil, from all over the all over the world to
So
put
and do you
fights.
get to travel? You get to travel to those countries as well?
For the most part, Strike Force is operated out of the United States.
Right.
And then they fly people in from around the world.
Oh, cool. Okay. So we'll just give those a quick little flip. Again, building depth of flavor into the dishes. So what we're going to do next, we're just going to get our bacon ready, and what we can do is just sort of take, we got 6 pieces each, so if we take 6 strips of bacon and we can just kind of organize ourselves ahead of time here and just lay those out, because then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay a couple of these out. I'll put them over there just to start with. They're all perfectly cut. You did a wonderful job on those, and then I'll just turn that off so we don't sweat to death here. And then what we can do is just basically you want to cover the entire endive. So if you start off at one end that way and just roll the bacon all the way around. Now you can already see how delicious these are going to be. And we can just line these up on our baking sheet and do the same with all of them. So when you're fighting, have you ever knocked anybody unconscious?
I have a couple times, and it's, I mean, I'm a pretty nice person, I think, and I've never been aggressive. I've never gotten in a street fight. For me, it really is a sport. And so it's a strange feeling when someone drops unconscious, really, because it's not, I mean, it's what you hope for.
Yeah.
It's what you train for.
It's what you're planning for, but
yeah,
it's not something that you really
No, it's just part of the sport, and I mean, you're really happy when you do it because it means you had an exciting win.
Yeah.
And it is empowering.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you come across as a very nice person. You're not the sort of person I don't think I would be afraid of.
No.
But at the same time, I think that that aggressiveness is certainly something that I guess we all have it, don't we? That
yeah, it's somewhere in there, I think, with everyone.
So this is going to go to quite a hot oven, about 375. That'll take about 15 minutes. I'm just going to give that a little bit of a bump up.
And you want to put on the top rack just so it's at the hottest point?
Yeah, because of course the heat rises, so we want to get, the idea is that we're rendering the fat, so that we're getting as much of that fat of the bacon. We want the bacon to be just about crispy without being crunchy and burnt.
Right.
And then, of course, all the Andi's going to soak up that beautiful
It's
bacon flavor. Absolutely, absolutely. So the next thing we're going to do is our little tomato vinaigrette, which is very, very simple. So if you want to pass me a tomato, and you want to take a tomato as well.
The red one or the yellow
one? We'll use the red ones. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to use the tomato juice as part of our vinaigrette. So we just simply take the tomato, just like we did before, slice that in half, and slice each of those in half. And then we just take the core of the tomato with all the guts and everything and just remove that. And all that stuff can go into the sieve there. And I'll show you what we're going to do with that. Because of course the natural juice from the tomato is naturally acidic. It also has a high amount of sugar in there.
Okay.
So it works really well for a vinaigrette because of course vinaigrette is the idea of balancing acid and oil.
Right.
So what's your favorite sort of style of fighting? You know, you mentioned there's a number of different types, but do you have a particular favorite?
I'm known as a striker. It's kind of what I like to do the most is punch people in the face.
I'm not moving away out of, it's just a natural reaction. And then what we're going to do is we're going to dice these. So we just slice them nice and lengthways and just cut them into a nice little dice. So while you're finishing off that one, I'll just get rid of this here because what I'm going to do is just take a spoon and just push all that juice through the sieve. There we go. We've got that nice tomato jus. I'm going to use a little balsamic because again we've got that sweetness. So about a teaspoon of balsamic vinegar. Again, little salt, little pepper, and roughly 3 times the amount of oil to your acid.
Okay.
So in this case, we're looking at probably about 3 tablespoons. Okay. And we just need to give that a little stir, and I'll give you the honor of a little stir there. All we're going to do now is we're going to throw in all our tomatoes. I use the big knife just to act as a bit of a scoop. We just want to finish this off with just a little bit of some fresh parsley here, and again just for color, nice fat pinch of parsley.
And you generally stir that in, or you leave it stay on the top?
We'll stir that in, and then we'll just put a little bit more on top as well.
Oh wow!
So we can just lift these guys off, a couple at a time, and we're going to drain them. Okay. So we'll just put a couple like so on the plate, and then we just kind of crisscross them so they stand up. It gives us a little bit of height. Do that one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the vinaigrette. If you want to just stir in that parsley.
Absolutely.
And then just drizzle it nice and gentle.
So just across the top here?
Yeah, and it'll just kind of drop down through everything. What do you think?
That's actually really good.
The andi is a whole different concept or component to it, isn't it?
And I actually don't usually like bacon because it's so fatty, but
absolutely delicious. And those are just some of the flavors of the Fraser Valley.